PowerBoat Television is brought to you by Yamaha. Conquer water with Yamaha. Ford F-Series. Smart, tough, capable. And BoatBuys.com. Over 60,000 new and used boats for sale. The west coast of Canada's Vancouver Island is chock full of beauty anywhere you look. Since I joined the show 5 years ago, everyone has told me Desolation Sound is the ultimate in beauty cruising destinations. So here we are. And by we, I mean me and my father-in-law, Brian Armitage. The man who introduced my wife to boating as a baby and who was integral in getting me into the cruising life. Finally, I had a chance to repay him for years of trips and tips and to take him somewhere he hadn't boated. And trust me, that is a short list. This is going to be our floating home away from home for the week, a 2005 Meridian 341. One of a dozen powerboats in the fleet of Desolation Sound Yacht Charters, based right here in Comox Harbor in, you guessed it, Comox, British Columbia. Doesn't matter if you have 45 years experience all over North American waters, like Brian, host a boating TV show, like me, or have only boated on your home lake. Everyone who captains a vessel here gets the same chart walkthrough and intro video as an ocean master sailor guides you through the hotspots. That way, nothing is accidentally forgotten. Next, you get a detailed walkthrough in person this time of your vessel. Doesn't matter how many boats I've been on, they're all a little different, and you definitely want to know everything. Again, they've made it as foolproof as possible. The 341, named Skyrider, has an overall length of 36 feet, with Cummins 250 horsepower diesel engines and older but excellent equipment.
But there's no conditions where you guys will not be able to pass the bar on this boat for sure, no matter what the weather throws at you. It can get a little choppy out here, but there's no reason why you wouldn't attempt it.
Chart run-through and boat walkthrough complete. We call it a night. Reviewing the charts again, ready to head out bright and early. There's something so cool about being out on a boat and seeing snow-capped peaks and glaciers. And don't get me wrong, you can do this in the winter out here, but it is hot. It's like 30 degrees, 100 for my American friends. The semi-displacement hull of the Meridian, paired with its power, means it's not getting up on plane. In fact, the top speed we hit was around 12 knots. Though, had we gone with the tidal current and had less gear on board, we surely could have eked out a bit more. Still, cruising here is best done slow and easy, soaking up the sights. There's a reason, after all, that trawlers dominate the boating world up here. You ever boated in BC?
Never been to BC.
Being able to share this experience is amazing as is. But to know this is my father-in-law's first ever time in British Columbia, that's a bonus. And when you get two boat lovers alone, there's a lot of this. But this is a nice boat though, right?
So this is kind of like a, what you call a tug, only it's set up as a catch. You see the difference? It's a motor sail or catch, right?
Yeah, look at that. Funky. Nice boat. So lots of space out here and obviously lots of water. And it looks like lots of depth too, but it's not. All of that is trouble. So you gotta find this, the P50 marker, cut around that, follow it out to the next one right there. That'll get you safely across Comox Bar. There we are. It's a big old thing, but if it's really choppy, that would be hard to see. From here, it's about a 14 nautical mile run across the Strait of Georgia, which separates Vancouver Island from the mainland. And, depending on the winds, can get pretty rough, but it's usually decent in the summer. We had a few rollers to contend with, but nothing the 341, or we, couldn't handle.
There may just be two of us, but we got all our bases covered. We're looking out. I got the Garmin GPS going. I got the Navionics rocking on my phone, and I got an old Salty with binoculars here. How's she looking?
Steady the course.
Before heading north, we took a detour around the east side of Vivian Island to check out Maz's first recommendation. Little outcropping of islands are Sea Lion Central. And he wasn't kidding. It was full-on National Geographic over here. But trust me, stay upwind of these puppies. The smell is intense. Later in the show, we'll continue north and hit our first anchorage. Just not as fast as this fella.
Metal corrosion on a boat can be a frightening thing. Most of the parts underwater are fairly expensive. And if you can't tell where the corrosion's coming from, it's pretty hard to fix. Well, now the folks at Seaguard have a digital corrosion meter, and you can actually check to see if your anodes are functioning properly. This corrosion meter is designed to check the electrical potential of the hull at different locations while the boat is in the water. Readings are color-coded, making it very easy to use. Green for a pass, red for a fail, and yellow for overprotection. In the box, you will find the meter, batteries, a zinc reference cell on a 20-foot lead, a 6-foot test probe with an alligator clip, and a set of instructions. Once you have the lead and the reference cell connected, you can turn the unit on, and you're going to get 4 options on what kind of metals you're checking for. Simply drop the reference cell at least 1 foot below the surface near the hull. Select the type of metal you want to check, and then secure the alligator lead to that part. When taking measurements from a fixture attached to the hull, make sure that fixture has been properly bonded. Right now, we're getting a fail underneath the cockpit sole of our aluminum, our bronze, and our stainless parts. So this boat really should have the anodes checked. If the anodes turn out to be good, we may want to check for stray current in the water. To check an outboard, clip to one of the mounting bolts. For inboards, clip to a grounding strap. You can even use this meter to check corrosion on any metal dock component. At the end of the day, it's really nice to know if your sacrificial anodes are actually working in real time. Evidence on the surface of them doesn't always tell the whole story, but a corrosion meter will tell you everything you need to know.
This isn't just a good jet boat. This is a good 19-foot runabout. Period.
For 2019, Yamaha's redesigned the hull of the SX190. It's 2 inches wider and 3 inches longer, and they've actually done some other design tweaks inside to make it feel much bigger than that. We'll get to those details in a sec. First, let's talk about fun. There's a lot of benefits to a jet boat. The big one, though, is that there's a lot less draft. You don't need as much water. The other difference is driving. You just put it into a turn. It's pretty tight. But if you're expecting something like a Wave Runner or another PWC, it's not going to be quite that tight unless you play with the jet a little bit. And then you can get in really tight turns. Like that. It only takes about 5 minutes of playing with it to figure it out. And here's the secret. You let off the throttle a little bit, and then hammer it on in the turn. And the jet slides your stern around, and away you go. So that is a lot of fun. Top speed just under 40 miles an hour, cruising anywhere from 20 to 30 all day long. Lots of fun. It's more than just adding 3 inches of length and 2 inches of beam to the footprint. They did a lot of work on board as well. Namely, you can see right here, older 19-footers had a U-shaped bench at the back. They've gotten rid of this section here, which opens it up. You still have lots of seating, but it doesn't feel as crowded.
And this was made possible by recessing the engine deep into the hull. Yamaha knows how to pack big engines into small spaces, and this 1.8-liter fuel-injected high-output engine provides ample power while creating a lower center of gravity for increased handling.
And here at the helm, it used to be a binnacle control, which just sticks out a little bit more. So not only have they gotten rid of that, you add that onto the 2 inches that they already made, and it feels nice and roomy and wide. And if you can compare this to a 2018, if you happen to be at a dock and have one right beside it, you'd see how much further apart these midship seats are. Still compact, easy to trailer, lots of fun to drive, but you have a little more elbow room and breathing room.
The beam is carried forward to make lots of room in the bow, which features storage underneath both the benches and the forward seat. Within the portside console is a large storage compartment. Opposite, under the helm, is even more storage and a built-in trash can.
The helm is wonderful. It's nice and modern. You got the Yamaha Connect system here, your Clarion stereo, and a phone holder, because you're like me, you use it for navionics, or you just want it handy but not in your pocket or in a cup holder. Brilliant. But you say, I prefer to look at my map horizontally. And they thought of that. Check that out.
Right beside is a 12-volt receptacle and a USB and auxiliary input. Both captain and passenger seats have high bolsters, and midship there's a deep and long in-floor storage locker that could hold skis. Underneath the stern seating, there's more storage, and I like the hinges on the port side. Within these storage compartments, you have the tabletop and base that secures along the starboard side of the aft cockpit. This has the articulating keel, which gives great handling at slow speeds. And no, you can't see that while it's in the water, but what you can see is the 2-tier swim platform with wet storage. A reworked hull is a gamble, but in this case, I think it's definitely paid off. It's an absolute blast to drive and has more room on board, including a ton of storage for a 19-footer. Not to mention, it doesn't look like the classic jet boat that may spring to mind for many people. And that, I think, will make this a very popular option for those in the runabout market that haven't considered jet power before. This isn't just a good jet boat, this is a good 19-foot runabout, period.
What if you could get your boat in this shape and you didn't even have to lift a polisher? Well, the guys at Provive can help you do that. If you own a fiberglass boat and you like to keep it as shiny as this one, chances are you own a bunch of these and probably one of these. And if you really like to keep it shiny, you're probably used to doing this every single year. But what if you never had to do it again? What if you could get your boat in this shape and you didn't even have to lift a polisher? Well, the guys at Provive can help you do that.
Provive is a truly unique system that can be used to restore fiberglass boats even if they've been painted. It utilizes a brilliant polymer coating that can provide protection for up to 10 years without the need for buffing or even waxing. While quite involved, the Provive operation begins in a very traditional way. Dean Stanbridge, president of Provive, invited us to Gordon Bay Marine to walk us through the Provive process as applied to a classic Donzi.
So a boat like this, you're basically going to polish and compound the entire boat.
Yes. We try to work our way backwards, right? Because we can see spots in this boat that I don't need to use a coarse compound on.
Right.
So we only need to go to a certain level. And this is a really cool boat to work with because it's such a rare color.
Right.
So it'll be really neat to watch the transition over the next 2 days.
Okay.
A superior initial restoration will improve the final result, but the folks at Provive are true professionals and work hard to minimize any impact on the original paint or gel coat.
Doing the same things I've done on the other side, whereas I'm assessing every mark and seeing if we can take off with the compound first. So the whole objective is to really get everything on the surface to be the same tone,
Okay.
right? We want everything to be exact.
Okay.
Because whatever we end up with here is what we lock in.
Right. Looks like you had some success with this one.
See, so those smaller scratches,
Wow.
You see, we were able to get them out. Now I've got one deep one right here, though.
Right.
So now again, now I just look at that and I say, okay, next step is going to be, I've still got just a little shadowing right here, and I've got this here, okay? In the perfect world, I can hide that shadowing once we apply our coating,
Okay.
but I'd rather get it perfect.
Even though this 25-year-old Donzi was in decent shape to start, it took 3 guys a full day of sanding and polishing to restore it to a Provive-ready state.
This is day 2 now. You guys have done your polish and your compounding, and the boat looks fantastic. I mean, it is brilliantly shiny.
Yep.
And my understanding is this is where a normal wax job or polish job would end.
Correct.
And the boat would go outside.
That's right.
And what's the challenge with that?
Well, as soon as it goes outside, it starts to fade, right? So we have issues with the polishes that are in the polish, the silicones and waxes, start to immediately disappear because they're supposed to be sacrificial to protect your boat. So really what we now do is we take it to the next step.
To apply the game-changing polymer, the boat has to be prepped just as though it was going to be painted. That means taping over all exposed parts that aren't fiberglass. Once taped, there is one more critical step prior to application, where the gel coat is completely exposed.
So we raw out the fiberglass, you're gonna see it go a little, dull and everything, and you're gonna be, whoa. Anyways, don't panic when we get to that point.
Cool.
Since the polymer itself and the application process are both proprietary, we can't show them to you. But we can show you the results, and they are incredible.
So Dean, we're basically finished. You applied the polymer about an hour ago. It's hardened up very, very quickly. What's the next step here?
We let it cure overnight. We prefer 24 hours before it goes back to the water. And then really it's nothing. Our finish can be buffed when it's done, but you really don't need to.
Normal cleaning after the process is finished is just a microfiber and water?
That's it.
Not only is the new surface strong, durable, and easy to clean, but it comes with a 5-year warranty.
The boat that we've had the longest duration on is our big Sunseeker.
Okay.
It's in its 3rd season now, and in 3 years, I haven't even used soap.
With all that is involved, the Provive process isn't cheap. But when you consider the protection, longevity, lack of maintenance, and the fact that you can sell your buffer right away, it looks like the future of boat detailing is about to change forever.
And on the east side of Cortez, one of the larger islands up here, you'll find the popular anchorage of Squirrel Cove. Back in beautiful British Columbia. And we're right around the midway point of Vancouver Island in Desolation Sound. It's far enough up the mainland that you're north of the Sunshine Coast Highway. There are a few small roads and a ferry to Cortez Island, but the vast majority of this region is unviewable and definitely unreachable by anything but boat or float plane. And just north of Sea Lion Central is the mustache-shaped Savory Island. It's 7.5 kilometers long, but only 1 kilometer wide. Has a number of homes on it and some B&Bs as well, but they're all off the grid as the island has no power. The north side does have a sandy beach though, which is very popular with boaters looking for a relaxing day on the hook. But no time for us to swim, we're heading north. Like many areas, you got a variety of route options, but the most popular has to be going through the Tulin Passage, which runs between the Copeland Islands Marine Provincial Park and the mainland. This archipelago is sometimes considered the Northern Gulf Islands, but more accurately, they are the Discovery Islands. And on the east side of Cortez, one of the larger islands up here, you'll find the popular anchorage of Squirrel Cove.
So our depth has dropped from 140 meters to 21 and dropping.
There's rocks there.
And we're coming into Squirrel Cove through this narrow passage here. And as you can see, popular place to be. How are we looking up there? All good? Beauty. Sweet mother of real estate.
Even though at its longest point, it's almost 1.5 kilometers long, it feels snug and tucked away. And it can get busy in the height of July and August.
So what do you think? Should we go back further here or should we go back in there?
Or if you want to come around here, we can go to shore.
Well, let's try that.
Because of significant tides, as much as 18 feet or 5.5 meters, a common way to anchor here is to tie a stern line around a tree to prevent your boat from swinging around.
If I'm not back in 3 minutes, tell the world my story.
Flip-flops is not the appropriate footwear.
The key here is to find a living tree above the high water mark, and then the best practice is not to tie one end to the boat, run it out, and run it back. That means lines in the water when you're running the dinghy and all kinds of nonsense. It's actually easier to take the whole line, wrap the middle around the tree, and then feed both sides out slowly as you come back to the boat. Then you're snug and secure for the night. Maz outfitted us with a crab pot, as Dungeness crab are found all over these parts. So Brian and I loaded in the dinghy and headed out to find a good spot. Deep enough that the seals wouldn't try to get the bait. And then we let it soak overnight.
Good morning, bright and early, nice and sunny. We got the dinghy secured, engines are running, we're still anchored. But the beauty of this system is we don't have to go out there and walk the whole line. So Brian, if you just undo your side, in theory, I'll be able to pull it around. That is a good system. So now, we got Brian up at the bow, we're gonna bring the anchor up. But something that people often try and do is use their windlass to pull the boat forward and lift it up. Your windlass isn't designed for that. It's really only designed to lift it straight up. So Brian's gonna lift it up, and when it looks like it's starting to get a little bit of an angle, just before it starts pulling, I'm gonna kick it forward. Let's go check our crab pot.
And we got back out, we discovered our crab pot was gone. We thought the tidal current had taken it, but it was quite heavy, and none of the other traps around here had drifted away. The locals told us later that traps get stolen on the regular. A sad fact, so if you do this, keep it within line of sight and don't do the overnight soak that we tried. So, back to Refuge Cove. This co-op of land has 18 shareholders who live here, and the businesses are all owned and operated by co-op members. This truly is buying local.
Hey, Steve, are you there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, let's go see if we can buy a crab pot.
Sold.
Free telephones. This place has everything.
Jokes aside, this place does have pretty much everything you need, from wine to bait to, thankfully, crab pots. There's also fuel and a garbage drop for a fee. And you can tie up here for the night if you want some landlubber time. But we've got so much more to see. Sadly, we are run out of time for this week. Next week, we'll continue exploring Desolation Sound, finding a glacier runoff waterfall, the warmest saltwater north of Mexico, and one of the most picture-perfect anchorages you'll ever see.